All right, it is just about a quarter past 2 on Monday afternoon. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austen Onek, wanting to make certain that everything is working here before we get going. We are doing a special online updates to give you an idea as to what is going on because we may be looking at the potential for some more problems into tonight. We are going to be going on live and in just a little while at about 3 o'clock Eastern time because we have an NFL football game tonight. So as of right now, we're looking at some fairly quiet conditions across much of the area, even though we've got the amount of snow and sleet coming down. But for right now, we're not seeing anything again in the way of major amounts of problems, at least in our area. Now, things are moving along at this point, and as of right now, we're seeing again little, if anything, really problematic for right now. We do still see the potential of some problems later on tonight as the temperatures begin to drop, and that again could be just a bit of a concern into around the rest of the evening, especially into tomorrow morning. As I understand it, we've already had some cancellations for early in Tuesday morning territory, so that again could be just a bit of an issue. It looks like we are live at this point. Let me double check my audio to make certain everybody can hear me on that. Yes, we can. Okay, we are good to go for now. Again, it is about 2:15, just after that on Monday afternoon. This is what it looks like right now at about a quarter after 2 on Monday afternoon, and this is again the situation that we've got. There are going to be some more slick spots out there. Temperatures are just above freezing, but only just. So a lot of the places that are going to be freezing over the fastest tonight are going to be the bridges and the overpasses, those exposed roadways that are not in some way sheltered or held up by the earth. That earth insulates the roadways, and that means the bridges and overpasses with that air surrounding it will cool off the fastest, and that is where the slick spots will occur for later on this evening. So if you have any plans for travel, see if you can avoid any of the planned areas that we have out there for conditions that will freeze the fastest across the area. That freezing line is going right down basically I-75 to I-59. North of there, temperatures at or just below freezing. Notice Monteagle, we're back to the lower 20s already. These are just the air temperatures. These are not even the wind chills that we're talking about. That's a whole other different story at this time, that we'll be seeing some much colder numbers into the semi-near future. So that is going to be one of the biggest problems that we have for right now out across the area. So wind chills at this point, this is what it looks like out there again for the time being. Now, in Chattanooga, close to the airport, not technically all that bad. It's in the lower 30s or so. Up the road in Monteagle, it's about 19. Closer to around Murfreesboro, it's about 2 degrees. 4 degrees in Columbia. West of Nashville, it's already down to 0. So that is that very cold air that is just now beginning to enter the News 12 viewing area. That is going to be cooling us off into later on tonight, and that's where we're going to be seeing most of the problems. Now, winds have not really been picking up too much, but in conditions like this, it's not going to take much for, again, getting the winds to really cause more problems. With temperatures in the single digits and double digits up here around the 840 loop, that 11 mile per hour wind south of Smyrna and Murfreesboro could be giving us, again, wind chills well down towards 0 throughout the course of the rest of the evening. Road temperatures at this time, that corridor right between Knoxville, Chattanooga, and down toward Birmingham, that's where the temperatures are just around freezing. Right back over portions of the area around Monteagle, that is where we're seeing the temperatures again much colder, but they're just at to just below freezing in much of the area, and that means that as the temperatures drop, notice right into around Jackson and DeKalb County in Alabama, temperatures are back into about the mid to upper 30s, but the temperatures drop from there, which means those bridges and overpasses will be dropping on the temperatures slowly, and they will be continuing to freeze over into later on. So we've got reports of heavy snow in the dark blue, North Alabama, southern Cumberland Plateau, south middle Tennessee, and then a mixture of precipitation all the way from Chattanooga, Ottawa, Cleveland, all the way back up to just around Knoxville. wet conditions in the green, and right along that area you're probably getting from Dalton down to about Scottsboro a mixture of wet precipitation, just rain, and maybe some frozen precipitation like sleet and or freezing rain coming down. And north of that, that's where it's mostly all snow, all the way back up to around portions of the area there. Now we did manage to make it up to about the mid 30s past about midnight tonight, and I'm just using a smattering of temperatures here because this is just a quick weather update. We're not going to go into too much detail, but we're going to give you a better idea again as to what's going on for right now. That wind chill drop in the next couple of hours is going to be sharp, and it's going to be very noticeable when you head outdoors, and you've got to protect yourself from this. Notice the temperatures fall off sharply right between Nashville, the Tennessee River, and the Cumberland Plateau. That is where we're going to be seeing the worst of the worst conditions coming up into and around the area there. So we'll continue to see the potential of that very cold air coming our direction. We're not showing too much in the way of power outages. We're getting some minor power outage readings into and around Gordon County in Georgia, and then way back up to around the Knoxville market. That's where we're seeing more potential power outages there at this point. Regular air temperatures, again, right back in the lower to mid 30s, and that's the problem that we've got with the roadways coming up in the course of the next several hours. Now, we do see, again, the potential for more areas of problems as we go into later on tonight. Visibility is not entirely terrible, but we do still have some problems out there. Looking around the area, and my browser would cooperate with me here. There we go. Let's take a look around the area on the EPB Fiber Optics WeatherCam network. Plainview outdoor advertising camera there. Looking toward downtown, we were able to see Lookout Mountain, but now that cloud deck has been lowering as it comes in from the rest of the area there, and more snow and sleet coming our direction across the area here. From Chattanooga Red Wolf Stadium, a quick look at what's going on. Visibility is low, roadways are wet, traffic is not moving at speed. It's slowing down. That's a very good idea, especially with the big buses and the semi-trailers out there with all that spray being kicked up, more moisture coming down, snow, freezing rain, sleet at this time. So we could be looking at some very big problems coming our way into around portions of the early morning hours. Downtown at the News 12 studios, on the Patriot Concrete camera, traffic is moving on I-24. Snow on the roof, wind kicking up the transmitter tower camera here at News 12. So we are seeing some windy, occasionally windy, choppy conditions for right now. Not getting a lot of anything in the way of very breezy winds. From Island Cove, taking a look off the water, as soon as the camera switches there, Tennessee Highway 58, decent amount of traffic out there. The snow covering the rocks and the shoals over portions of the eastern part of the lake, and traffic is moving, even though it doesn't look like it for right now. We are still seeing a decent amount of some slowdowns out there for the time being. Taking a quick look around the area of downtown from I-24, Moccasin Bend, mostly wet roadways. The interstates have been well treated. The DOTs around the area keeping track and making certain everything's moving along pretty well at this time, but it's a good bet that as the temperatures drop, the freezing is going to start around portions of the area, and that is where we're going to be seeing again the potential for those slowdowns coming up into tonight and into early tomorrow. We do still have the winter weather advisory in purple in the southern counties of the News 12 viewing area, mostly covering over the southern parts of Georgia counties in the News 12 viewing area and back toward around Cherokee County, North Carolina. In the pink, the winter weather advisory goes to a winter storm warning, where conditions for winter storm are imminent or are occurring. This will be in effect until 7 o'clock Tuesday morning, and that does include Hamilton County and Chattanooga proper, and most of the rest of the News 12 viewing area. In the pink counties, this is where conditions are expected to be the worst of the worst for tonight, and that includes, again, the temperatures going downwards to where we see the best potential of less, definitely not good travel out across the area. Sorry, a little complicated there. I was trying to throw all this together on short notice, but this is where we're getting the worst potential for anything in the way of driving, and could be power outages, could be backups on the interstate. If you don't have to get out, don't, especially into tomorrow morning with those wind chills expected to be a problem. That again is going to be a very big concern. You can easily see where that big Arctic blast is making its way through. It's not exactly rushing through the area, but it is bringing that colder air slowly down our direction, and that's going to freeze a lot of the moisture in place as we go into later on tonight. So we do have, again, most of the area covered over in blue is snow on radar. The pink and purple indicates the rain mixing with or changing to some mixture of precipitation. Dalton, Georgia, back over into the Carolinas. That's mostly rain on the southern edge of all of this, but then we see more of that potential of snow coming on through, and that is where we start to see more potential of the slick spots tonight, the colder it gets out there. Now, what we're going to be seeing again into tonight, the past 24 hours, the worst of the worst has been well back off to our west. Not entirely too much here. Again, the potential for snow getting a little thicker. If it were to stick around and not melt quite as much, we could be looking at 4 to 8 inches in some areas, but with the temperatures still pretty warm and the snow expected to taper off as we go into the next about maybe 4 to 5 hours, I'm not expecting too much more than what we're picking up here. Could be some good snow bursts out there. Could be some ice pellets, freezing rain in portions of the area over the last couple of hours, and we could be looking at even more conditions coming up as we go into later on tonight, but most of it has been just snowfall, so definitely some good news there. And then snow potential is going to be staying that way. We may see the potential of, again, heavier snowfall well back to the west of Chattanooga, but some of that could make its way into the higher territory between I-24 and Signal Mountain, and then also all the way back into around southern parts of the Cumberland Plateau, and that is where we see, again, the potential for more problems out there with travel, especially into tonight and tomorrow morning. And remember, as that plunge of temperatures comes on through, things are going to be freezing down on the roadways. We're not going to be above freezing again for the next couple of days, so doubtful we're going to be seeing improved conditions, especially on the side streets. Off the major roadways have been treated so far and will continue to be so, but for right now, it's a good possibility that your neighborhoods, the rural road territories, are not going to improve on the conditions for traveling, possibly until Thursday. That's, again, where we see the best potential of those colder amounts of air freezing all this moisture into place. And that means until the temperature rises, it could be some choppy travel around here as we go into the next few days. So that, again, is where we're seeing a bit of a problem for anybody who wants to get out. So if you don't have the ability to get out, or if you can't, don't. If you can stay at home, great. If you're able to stick around, again, even with a little bit of snow, a little bit of ice, a little bit of rain, that is going to really hamper your travel efforts no matter where you're going to. You get someplace, you get stuck, you're going to have to find a way back. And if you can't get your car out of the ditch or you're in an accident, you're going to be spending a lot of hours out there where you don't need to be. So right now, with temperatures already iffy, if you can stay indoors, if you can stay home, stay where you are, because the next couple of days is going to be dicey with both the temperatures on the wind chills and, of course, the potential for more problems out there for travel into the rest of the next few days. Time is half past, basically. We are going to be doing a weather update. Again, we're going to be live on News 12 at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. Right before we go to the NFL, we've got a big NFL game tonight, so we'll be on the air live for that at 3 to 3:30 to keep you updated. We'll break in during the NFL, hopefully, again, just during the commercial break, so we won't interrupt anybody's viewing pleasure, but we'll do what we have to make certain we get the information out. And we'll have another weather overtime coming up later on tonight. We should be relatively on time for News 12 at 11. At that time, the temperature is going to be very cold, so we'll see what the conditions are like out there traveling across portions of the area. So please use a lot of caution. Please use common sense. If you can still get out and about while the temperatures are not bad, you might be able to give it a try. That is not a recommendation. That's not an endorsement by any stretch of the imagination. It's up to you to figure out when to go and how to go and if to go. But for right now, I'd recommend staying put if at all possible. just to be on the safe side. So we're going to get ready for our 3 o'clock newscast. This has been special weather coverage of the winter storm moving through the Tennessee River Valley. Thanks to everybody on Twitch TV and on Facebook Live for tuning in. We'll have more coming up again live on News 12 at 3 o'clock Eastern Time before our NFL game sets in. And Chip Chapman will have more on his forecast coming up tomorrow morning. Right about the time when the single digits are approaching 0 in parts of the area, so definitely want to stay tuned for that. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austen Onek. Stay tuned for more on air and online with News 12.